Hello all, welcome back to Sri Sai Tech Edu YouTube channel, Read, Lead, Success. I am dealing with the subject Research and Publication Ethics. In that module 1 Philosophy and Ethics, Introduction to Philosophy and Ethics are the two chapters. In that Introduction to Philosophy, I have done many of the concepts and already uploaded. In this video, we will see a different topic. Branches of Philosophy. We are going to study totally 7 branches of philosophy. In that, first one, epistemology. Epistemology is derived from the two Greek terms, episteme plus logy, which means knowledge and science or study. Knowledge and science or study. Knowledge science or knowledge study. Episteme means it is knowledge and logy means science or study. Okay. The theory of knowledge, especially with regards to its methods, validity and scope, and the distinction between justified belief and opinion. It philosophically discusses the falsehood, validity of knowledge, limits of knowledge, and nature of knowledge, knower and known. The theory of what is epistemology? It is theory of knowledge, especially with regards to what? Methods, validity and scope. And the differentiation between justified belief and opinion. The justified belief, what we believe, and the opinion of individual. The difference between that also is regarded to the theory of knowledge, that is epistemology. It philosophically discusses the falsehood, validity of knowledge, limits of knowledge and nature of knowledge, knower and known. These are all things it is going to discuss. The questions what will arise is, what is knowledge? How is knowledge acquired? What do people know? What is its structure and what are its limits? What makes justified beliefs? What are the necessary and sufficient conditions of knowledge? These are the different questions which comes under epistemology. The goal of epistemology is to what? Determine the criteria for knowledge so that we can know what can or cannot be known. In other words, the study of epistemology fundamentally includes the study of meta-epistemology. Goal is what? To determine the criteria for knowledge so that we can know what can or cannot be known. What can be known so that what we can know or cannot be known. In other words, what we can tell? Study of epistemology fundamentally includes the study of meta-epistemology. Second branch, that is metaphysics. Metaphysics is a major branch of philosophy. It concerns with existence and nature of things that exist. It concerns with what? Existence and the nature of things that are exist. The metaphysical idea that reality exists independently of one's mind and yet can be known is called as realism. The metaphysical idea that reality exists, the reality will exist independently of one's mind and yet can be known. So, it is called realism. The metaphysical idea that no mind independent of reality exists or can be known is what? Idealism. It is derived from Greek metaphysica, after the things of nature, that is referring to an idea, doctrine or posited reality outside of human sense perception. What it means? In modern philosophical terminology, metaphysics refers to the study of what can be reached through objective studies of material reality. What we can reach through what? Objective studies of material reality is nothing but what? Metaphysics. What are the questions we get? Is there a God? What is truth? What is a person? What makes a person that the same through time? Is the world strictly composed of matter? Do people have minds? If so, how is the mind related to the body? Then do people have free wills? What is it for one event to cause another? These are the different questions we can handle in metaphysics. What is the goal? This is study of existence. What? Study of existence. reality or essence. Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that examines the fundamental nature of what? The reality, including the relationship between the mind and the matter, between substance and attribute, and potentiality and actuality. What it examines? Nature of reality, including the relationship between what? Mind and matter, between substance and attribute, and potentiality and actuality. Third branch, ethics. The study of ethics often concerns what we ought to do and what it would be best to do. Questions about what is good and right arise. Ethics is nothing but what is good and what is right. Basically what it is going to study. Ethics is derived from Greek word that is ethos, which means customs, character, usages or habits. Okay. Ethics is also called moral philosophy, derived from the Latin word mores, means customs, habits or character. The questions what we get is what is good, what makes actions or good people good, what is right, what makes actions right, is morality objective or subjective, how should I treat others. These are the different questions which come under ethics. What is the objective of ethics? Ethics is the area of philosophy which investigates the principles governing human actions in terms of their goodness, badness, rightness and wrongness, duties and obligations. What it is going to investigate? The principles governing human actions in terms of what? Goodness, badness, rightness and wrongness, duties and obligations. Fourth branch, logic. What is logic? The arguments or reasons given for people's answers to questions. For the questions, what people give answers no? As an argument or a reason, it is nothing but logic. Philosophers employ logic to study the nature and structure of arguments. Logic studies truth. Logic studies what? Truth. This study of the methods and principles used to distinguish correct from incorrect reasoning is the central issue with which logic deals. The word is derived from Greek word logos. Logos, which means reason, idea or word. So calling something logical means it's based on reason and sound ideas. Logic has two parts, namely inductive and deductive logic. Inductive logic means what? Studies about universal propositions, that is particular to universal propositions by means of valid arguments. Deductive means what? It is also about universal propositions, that is universal propositions to particular propositions. See, if it is from particular to universal propositions by means of valid arguments, it is inductive. If it is studies about the universal proposition, that is universal propositions to particular. Deductive, from universal to particular. Inductive is nothing but particular to universe. Like that you need to remember. Goal of logic. The subject matter of logic includes the methods of what? Judgment, types of propositions, hypothesis, definition, comparison, classification, division and fundamental laws of thought, etc. Logic is the art of reasoning or art of thinking. Okay. Fifth branch. The word is aesthetics. The word is Greek in origin. It is Greek in origin, which refers to the perception and experience of the senses. What it is? Refers to the perception and experience of what? Senses. The study of aesthetics is the study of something sensed, in a broad understanding of that word rather than something imagined or reasoned. See, something which is sensed is called as aesthetic in the time of, in the period of study. In a broad understanding of that word, rather than something imagined, rather than me reasoning or imagining, we sense that. That is nothing but what? Aesthetics. The philosophical study of beauty and taste. It is closely related to the philosophy of art, which is concerned with the nature of art and the concepts in terms of which individual works of art are interpreted and evaluated. Examines questions of the pleasantness of our experiences concerning things in the world, where pleasantness is taken in broad sense to include, for example, the intellectual pleasure of being challenged or confronted. It deals with development and cultivation of appreciation and appropriate response. The word aesthetics is derived from the Greek aesthetikos, which means sensitive, sentient, pertaining to sense perception. Pertaining to sense perception means I perceive, feel or sense. What aesthetics means? It is nothing but I perceive, feel or sense. It is nothing dealing with the imagination or the reasoning. It is dealing with what? Perceptions. That is perceive, feel or sense. The goal is what? Aesthetic philosophy primary topic of investigation is what? Beauty and art. Sixth branch, axiology. The term axiology is derived from Greek and means value or worth. Axiology is engaged with assessment of the role of researchers' own value on all stages of the research process. Axiology is nothing but is engaged with what? With the role of the researcher's own value on all stages of the research process. In simple terms, axiology focuses on what do you value in your research. This is important because your values affect how you conduct your research and what do you value in your research findings. This is important because why? Your values affect how you conduct, how the researcher will conduct a research and what you value in your research finding. You need to value some things. That is nothing but axiology. The goal of axiology is what? To examine and understand the nature of value, its various forms and how it is applied. We need to examine and understand what? The nature of the value, its various forms and how it is applied. Axiology seeks to determine what is considered valuable, desirable or beneficial, both in terms of individual choices and societal norms. Axiology seeks to what? To determine what? Considered valuable, desirable or beneficial, which is considered as either valuable, desirable or beneficial, both in terms of what? Individualistic as well as societal forms, societal norms, what they value and individually what they value. What exactly axiology examines. Seventh branch, political branch. Political philosophy, a branch of politics, focuses on political government, guidelines, opportunities, value, honors, authority, political states, frameworks, morals and more. It examines the role of states, their functions and their constituents. Political way of thinking is a critical piece of reasoning that provides hypothetical information on political life, addressing governmental issues and guiding us in constructing a well-structured political society. It is everything related to political life, addressing government issues and for a well-structured political society. It is influenced by philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Hobbes and Locke, who have contributed to shaping political society through their philosophical insights. The substance of political way of thinking is critical in three cases. It is critical where? In three cases. It is human instinct, human relationships and societal interrelationships. Western political thinking began with ancient Greece. With ancient Greece being influenced by city-states and Chanakya's work on international affairs, state frameworks and monetary stability. These are the different political thinking began with what? Ancient Greece itself. Confucianism, then legalism and theism were the main political thought systems in ancient China. Okay. What is the questions come to political? What is the relationship between the individual and the state? Are individuals sovereign or is the state supreme? Do individuals have rights that the state must respect? If so, what are those rights and where do they come from? All questions will be related to what? Political related questions. Goal: to examine the theoretical and conceptual foundations of politics, seeking to understand the fundamental principles that underpin political systems and institutions. Nothing but to examine the conceptual foundations and theoretical of politics and seeking to understand the fundamental principles of it. So this completes all the branches of the philosophy. So I am stopping the video here with a new topic. I will upload a new video next. For now, thank you from Sri Sai Tech Edu YouTube channel. Read, lead, success. Keep reading.